All right, everyone. I'm gonna be going over the the five number summary, basically, and I'll get into a little bit about the box plot, I guess. I know there's been some confusion on this about how you're getting different answers and how it might not make sense. This equation with the IF, the integer, the fraction. Um, And so let's just go over it. So here's a list of numbers. I use this list, which is an offshoot of what he used in PowerPoint 7. Um, whatever PowerPoint it was that had measures of variability, right? So instead of 10 data points that he had in his PowerPoint, I'm using 9. I'm using 9 because it's easier to understand. So in Excel, there's two ways to find quartiles. One way is to exclude the median. One way is to exclude the median, and one way is to include the median, right? So we have all been used to including the median. So what this means is if I were to tell you to find the five number summary based on the broad information that you know, this is what you would do. You would find the center point of the data set, which is 66. That would be your median. From there, you would find the center point of this, which is 65. So let's write it. This be your median. And then this, the center point of this top half would be your Q1. And then the center point of this bottom half would be your Q2, right? So this makes sense. This is logical. This is, what I would do too. But this method is to include the median. The other method that he wants you to do is to exclude the median. So when you exclude the median, okay, so this is the median. But when you go to calculate your Q1, you only do it based off of these four numbers, right? And when you go to calculate your Q2, you base it only on these four numbers. But you can't just take these two numbers, add it together, and divide it by 2. There's a different equation involved, okay? And so on Excel, we can do the exclude method and the include method. So let's do, real quick, the include method, right? Well, I technically already did it here, but I'll do it again so you'll see. So we equals quartile. You see two options, quartile exclude, quartile include. If we choose quartile include, we define the range. We're going to be given one of 5 options: a minimum, a first quartile, a median, a third quartile, and a maximum value. This is where it can get a little confusing because, in my opinion, when we're doing a 5 number summary is different from a box plot. And so when you're doing a 5 number summary, I think you should be doing quartile include. And we can see that through Excel. They have 5 values for you, right? For the 5 number summary. Now he wants you to present the 5 number summary with exclude, which is fine. That's his preference. He's the professor, right? And there's a reason for that down the line, I guess. But this is where you're going to have to adjust to that expectation. So if we do quartile include and we choose the first quartile, 1, so we enter 1, enter, we get 65. It's exactly how we would have done it if we'd just done it by looking at it, right? Same thing, we're going to do it again. We're going to go equals quartile include, same array, but this time, 23. Okay, comma. This time we're going to choose the third quartile option, which is 3, right? 72, which is exactly what we would have gotten if we just looked at it and chose the middle value from this bottom half. Okay, now this is where it gets funky. This is where you got to use the equation, or else you won't get the right answer. So with the exclude method, you'll see we're going to go quartile, exclude, choose the array, and when we go we only have 3 options. So with this, we don't have the option of the minimum value and the maximum value, right? And so that is more representative of a box plot. Now, he wants you to do it for the 5-number summary. So you're just going to have to do it. So let's see what happens. Boom, you get 64.5, right? And if you follow his equation, you will also get 64.5. Now we'll do quartile exclude for the 3rd quartile. 75. If you use his equation, you'll get the same number. But you see how the numbers are different? Both methods are to find quartiles, but in one, for the quartile 1, you get 65, for the other, you get 64.5. Same thing with the quartile 3. You're getting quartile 3 here, but based on your method, you either get 72 or 75, right? 75 is the exclude, and 64.5 is the exclude. Okay, so now that you roughly get that, let's go onto his equation. Some of you might have found this equation confusing. So he gives you 2 equations, basically. The first equation is the overarching equation, right? Which is what you're going to plug your IF into. And then the second equation is just changed according to what quartile you want. So for quartile 1, it's simply 20.25 times n plus 1. For median, it's 0.5 times n plus 1. For quartile 2, it's 0.75 times n plus 1. Okay? And just a little review, in case you didn't know this, the 5-number summary gives you the minimum, the max, the median, which is the middle, Q1 and Q2. And this represents where the 0% value is, the 100% value is, the 50% value, the 75%, and the 25%. That means anything before Q1, that will consist of 25% of the data. Anything from the median and below, that will consist of 50% of the data. Anything from Q3 and below will represent 75% of the data. And of course, if you go from min to max, that's 100% of the data, right? So here, we're going to try this out with this, data set. We're going to use his equation. So here, n, let's do a count function. Oh my god. Count. Boom. Count is 9. N is equal to 9. So if we plug this into these equations, what we're going to get is equal 0.25 times 9 plus 1. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. 2.5. Okay. Same thing. 0.50 times 9 plus 1. Same thing again. 0.75 times parentheses 9 plus 1. Okay. Now this is the tricky part. So the value 2.5 means that you're looking for the second value. So if you're looking at only the integer portion, you're looking for the second value. So here, quartile 1, 2.5, integer 2. We are going to look at the second value, 64, right? So if we plug this into the main equation, it would be Q is equal to x of 2, which is the second x value, the second data point, plus our fraction 0.5 times parentheses x of x of I plus 1, so we plug in 2 again. 2 plus 1 is 3, so x of 3. The third data point, right? The third x, which is 65, okay, minus x of 1, x of I again, which in this case, because of our formula, is x of 2, because it's 2.5. X of 2 is, again, the second x, the second value, second data point, so 64. X of 2. So now I will actually use the correct numbers, right? So quartile 1, or I won't even put that, is equal to x of 2, second value of x, 64 plus 0.5 times x of 3, the third value, 65, minus x of 2, the second value, 64, right? Boom. You get 64.5, and 64.5 is what we get here with quartile.exe, which means exclude. You exclude the median, okay? And we can do this again with the median. If we do with the median, we get 5, right? And so I know you already know the median is 66 because it's the middle, but let's just work through with this equation, right? So this is Q1. Now we're going to do the median, which is I'll just copy this. Okay. Six. Okay, so this is our equation if we want to find the median. That means we're going to look for the fifth value in the data set, x of 5, which is 66. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 66. Okay. We're going to add that to 0 because our value here for the IF does not have a fraction. Therefore, it's 0. So 0 times x of 6. I know this is pointless, but I'm just going to do it out. I know anything times 0 is 0, but just so you get the point. X of 6 is 72 minus x of 5 is 66. Okay? You do this, you get 66, which is your median. Now we do this for Q3. Same thing, 7.5. So we want the 7th x value here, right? And then because this is I plus 1, this will be the 8th value of x. And then this will be the 7th value. Oh shit, sorry. This would be the 7th value of x. And now we have a fraction again, so it's not 0, it's 0.5. 0.5. Okay, so if we plug in this equation, what you get is the 7th value of x, which is right here, 7th value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right here, 72. So equals 72 plus 0.5 times, parentheses, the 8th value, which is 78, minus the 7th value, which is, again, 72, we would get 75. And you would see that here with the .exe function, which is exclude again, right? And this way is essentially what he wants you to do for his 5-number summary, okay? And you technically don't have to do this if you know how to use Excel and use the .exe function. Okay, now if you need to show your work and you need to show them how to do this, this is how you would do it. Now, why is it that there's 2 different methods? Well, when you learn more about the box plot, I don't know how much you've learned already, but That's where the difference comes in. So what is a box plot? It requires you to find the IQR, right? What is the IQR? IQR is Q3 minus Q1, which is 75% minus 25%. That means that within the IQR, within Q1 and Q3, right here, 50% of the data lies within the IQR, right? And then it tells you to multiply that by 1.5. What is that? That's dividing it by 2, basically. So that means when you divide it by 2, all of a sudden, it's 25%. Now, when you add this 25%, right, because that's what you have to do. The next step is to add it to Q1. So Q1 minus, no, it was Q1, yeah, it's Q1 minus, 1.5 times IQR. And then it's Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR, right? And so what you're doing is you're adding 25% to Q3 and subtracting 25% from Q1. Now, if you do that with the include numbers, right, these two are the include numbers, then you would get to the 0%. You would get the minimum value, right? And if you do that to the include quartile 3, you add 25% to that, you would get the 100% value, the max, which is why when you do include, you get 5 options. Oh, sorry, this is exclude. Here, the include. That's why when you do include, you get one of 5 options because it'll get you to that minimum and the maximum, right? But when you use the exclude method and you add that 25%, it doesn't reach that minimum and it doesn't reach that maximum, which is why when you use the exclude function, you cannot go beyond, oh, that's include again. This is the exclude function. That's why we use the exclude function. You can't go beyond first, median, and third quartile. And why do they do this? They do this so that you can find outliers. With a 5-number summary, you cannot look at outliers because it will encompass the entire data set from min to max. But when you use the box plot, it doesn't cover it entirely. You can change your box plot to maybe cover 95% of the data, right? So that means on the top, you're not covering 2.5, and in the bottom, you're not covering 2.5. And so any data points that lies there are called outliers. Maybe you want to make it 97.5%. And so within the box plot is 97.5%. And then above that box plot is, whatever half of 2.5% is. And then the bottom of that is half of whatever 2.5% is. And anything out there is an outlier. But that's why. To use the exclude method is how you would get a box plot. And so he wants you to use the exclude method. It's more confusing, but you're going to have to do it. So if you have any questions, you can email me, but that is essentially the gist of it.